it's me, Vicky Marie. Oh my God, I'm feeling really quite emotional. I don't know if any of you have seen this yet. I mean, obviously you've seen my, to come onto the video, you've seen the introduction. You know that Donald Trump has been shot. I mean, it's so shocking. I've just been watching it. I'm going to show you the incident. I think it's really emotional. It's got those sort of Kennedy vibes, and Donald Trump is maybe not my politician of choice, but it's terrible to think that anybody, isn't it, that is a politician could be shot just giving a speech, or it just gives you that horrible, horrible, cold feeling. So let me just have a look at this. We'll have a look at a photo. So this is him just after he's been shot. He's shot around 5 o'clock US time. He's doing a rally, and there's very graphic coverage of the actual moment that he was shot, because obviously he was being filmed. So I'm just going to say hello to everyone, and then we'll go right into the coverage. But I just need to give you a trigger warning, pardon the pun, because I think it is very distressing. There's a lot of screaming, and it just is. Like, I found it very distressing. And so I just want to warn you, just in case, if you haven't seen it, and if it makes you, makes you emotional like it's made me. Hi, Mello. Hi, Shelley. Hi, Nicola. No, I'm not in bed, Nicola. I'm not in bed. I was in bed. I went to bed at about 8 o'clock. Just I was so tired. It's so hot here. It just knocks you out. And then that's the only reason that I'm up now, because, of course, I've had a couple of hours sleep. I got up to go to the loo, and my son told me what had happened. And I thought, oh, God, I'm going to go and get on live. Hi, Shelley. Hi, David. Hi, Heather. Hi, David. Another David. David Clark. Hi, Gary. Hi, Daniel. So, yeah, he's been shot. Let's have a look at the incident. No, I don't think it's a good thing for anyone to, whether you like Donald Trump or you don't like him, for any politician, for anyone, it's just not right, is it? Sorry, but it's not right to shoot someone. He's a politician. He might not be my cup of tea, might not be your cup of tea, but a lot of people, he is their cup of tea and they like him. So, and anyway, as a human being, nobody should be shot, of course. So one person is dead, which I presume is the shooter, because you can hear this Secret Service clearly saying shooter down. So I believe one person is definitely dead. So I presume that is the shooter. Let's have a look. What happened? Oh. Just honestly, just gives me the chills. It just reminds me of Kennedy, and that, if you watch that footage, to be just standing there and talking, even if you're talking, cojones, bollocks, or whatever, you may think that Donald Trump is this, that, or the other, but still shouldn't happen. Oh.
Move in the spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare. Get ready. You ready?
I mean, if you were at that rally, you'd be absolutely terrified, wouldn't you? You've got the guys walking around with the great big guns and that. You've heard the gunshot. The ex-president's gone down his clutch. You saw him clutch his ear. That that shot missed. You know, he is lucky to be alive, I'll tell you.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
Shooters down. So they keep saying shooters down, shooters down.
Let's move. Let's move. We're clear. Come on. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes, sir.
I kept saying, let me get my shoes, let me get my shoes. So I don't know if he kicks his shoes off when he starts to speak, or why would he not have his shoes on? But anyway, so he keeps saying, let me get my shoes, let me get my shoes.
Hold on, your head is bloody. So we got to move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes. Okay, my shoes down. Watch out.
Well, the very latest from that rally, the moment where it appears that shots were fired. Certainly the Reuters.
So, of course, he still gets security because he's an ex-president, so he'll have security for the rest of his life. They were, well, say they were quick. I mean, obviously, he'd already been shot. If that shot would have missed his ear and gone into his head instead, he would be no more, would he? But the Secret Service or whoever they are, the security, they were then there pretty quick and they were surrounding him. I mean, that's quite brave, isn't it, really? Because you could see they were making like a wall around him. That's their job, I suppose, but that's quite terrifying, isn't it? I don't know if they've got bulletproof vests on or...
His news agency reporting that shots were fired at that Trump rally in Pennsylvania. We saw there, once those sounds were heard, if indeed they were shots, that the security team surrounded Donald Trump, as you see there now, and escorted him to his vehicle to be driven away from that rally. So he has now left that rally in Butler in Pennsylvania after the incident in which we believe shots were fired.
So he's punching the air and he was shouting, fight, fight. I mean, he's definitely going to be elected now. I mean, he's already looking that way, isn't it? But, you know, this will backfire again, if you pardon the pun. It will backfire on whoever the guy was or woman that's trying to kill Donald Trump, because he hasn't killed him. And I think this will only help his election campaign. He'll turn it into a positive, that's for sure.
And, we saw then what seemed to be a SWAT team move in, an armed team move in after Donald Trump was driven away, and that was the Secret Service personnel we saw there escorting him to his vehicle some moments ago. And then, as you see, he was driven away from the scene. We're just going to show you again what happened.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
Ooh. It's terrifying, isn't it? Well, I found it absolutely terrifying.
Hold, when you're ready, on you. Ready? Move! Up! Move! Go! Up! Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here, move it to the stairs. Stairs, get ready. Stairs, get ready. You ready? Are we good? Shooters down. Shooters down. Are we good to move? We're clear. We're clear. Let's move. We're clear.
I mean, I can't see the shooter. You know, I wonder where the shooter was. They keep saying shooter down, shooter down. So he's been dealt with, and somebody, they have confirmed that one person is dead. So we're presuming that is the shooter. So he was dispatched pretty quick. I expect we'll find out about that as time goes on. As so far, we don't know anything about the actual who shot him. You know, and why. I mean, you know, somebody in the chat there was saying it was a Biden supporter, but we don't know who it is yet. It could be anyone.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes, sir. Hold on, your head is bloody. So we gotta go to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
You know, whatever you think of Donald Trump, there you go. That's a 70-odd-year-old man who's just been shot. It's not good. It's not good. It's not, and it will propel him straight into the White House. That, I think, again.
Watch out.
Okay, well, that's the moment that we've shown you again for a second time, at which it's thought gunshots were fired at that rally. Certainly, the news agency Reuters reporting that gunshots fired. You're seeing the replay there with Donald Trump fist pumping the air as he's carried off the stage by Secret Service agents. We heard a little bit of the sound there with someone, it sounds like it was Donald Trump, saying, "Let me get my shoes." Obviously chaotic scene, and there were screams from the audience, that rally there, waiting for Donald Trump to address them. We were thinking that we might possibly hear who he would announce as his running mate.
Okay, so what do we make of this then? So, God, I'm in shock, I think. What, shooter is dead and one in the crowd dead? Somebody's saying there. Let me just say hello to everyone coming in. I'm like a bit speechless, you know. Occasionally when I'm on video, I do get a bit speechless, but it's unusual for me, but I am. So about 10 shots fired. The shooter is dead. Hi, Gary. Hi, Daniel. Yeah, he's okay. Donald Trump is okay, isn't he? He's been taken off to hospital. He's just got this graze next to his ear, but he was very, very lucky. Oh, Nicola, I'm sorry your neighbour's been partying 3 nights straight. I'm not normally up at this time. Well, I don't know if Trump fails, that Britain fails, but anyway. Yeah, love him or loathe him, it is terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, David, I've got mixed feelings about Trump. I think he's not like my sort of my politics, but you know, he's popular. He's popular, so he's hitting a chord with people. Why is that? For me, I always think that when you get somebody who becomes popular in politics, you can't just dismiss them and say, oh, they're this, that, or the other. You've got to think, why are they popular? What's wrong that people are turning to this person? If you don't, you know, if you think they're a bad person, why are people turning to this person? You've got to address issues. You can't just pretend they're not happening, or, you know, you have to address the issues that are making them popular. Mellow, I know you. Dark humor is, I mean, I'm sort of still, I expect I'll be making some dark humor about it at some point, but at the moment I'm still just totally gobsmacked by it, to be honest. Hi, Julie Dawn. Hi, Lynn. Hi, MZ. Hi, Chell. Well, Chell, Donald Trump has been shot. I'm going to go on to Sky News Live, and then we can hear about it as it's going. Now, I just No, nobody should be shot. No politician, not the Pope. But what's all this aggression and violence and anger in the world? You know, it's like just awful. Anyway, I'm going to have a look now at we're going to follow Sky News because they're talking about it.
Yeah, we're here. Look, you know, the atmosphere coming into a Trump rally, the supporters, very jovial, very celebratory. Typically, people are selling merchandise, food. What were you coming in with today, and what are you leaving with tonight?
Well, I was here 4 years ago when he was in Butler. You know, it was like 58,000 people. I tell people it was the most magical night of my life. When he came on that helicopter and circled 2 times, he had 4 rallies that night. It was just an unbelievable night. And I was anticipating to be another unbelievable night, but not this way. And
you know, this is it. People love Trump. There's lots of people, they love him. You can't just ignore sort of half a nation. You've got to think, why do they love him? What is it that Trump is offering to people that they feel that they can't get from anyone else? You know, so you can't just dismiss him. You've got to think what is behind his popularity and what is so wrong in America that people think that Trump is the person that's going to help it.
I'm glad that guy's no longer with us anymore in that tower. And I hope they get the other one too. And I hope they don't nick him. I hope they get.
So she said, I'm glad that guy's not in the tower. It's not. So was he in the tower? And then she said, I hope they get the other one too. So the 2 people then.
Get him. He's down.
Erin, thank you so much. I'm so glad. No, I'm so glad you're safe. I know it's a lot to process today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Absolutely. Right.
Okay, we heard there the eyewitness from Erin, the eyewitness there, who was in the front row at that rally. She said when they heard the gunshots ring out, not a single person hit the ground. They were only concerned about Donald Trump. She said, we love him. We're going to vote for him, but clearly distressed at what she's witnessed this evening.
They're very dramatic pictures, aren't they? I mean, gosh, it looks like he came so close. It was just nicked his ear.
Well, we can speak now to Ryan Fournier, the founder and co-chairman of Students for Trump. A very shocking evening.
Students for Trump.
I was watching that footage on your screen. It took everything in me not to have a tear on my eye. I mean, politics is politics, but we've become very separated. I mean, very, very divisive in the United States. And, I blame, I got to watch my words because I was just in a Twitter space and I said things that I was so livid. I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be livid today because Joe Biden has said that everyone who supports the MAGA movement, everyone who supports this jacket, this hat, we are the enemy of the people. He has created a movement of people who want us dead. And after watching today, and I'm hearing, once this happened, I have a friend in the Secret Service. He works at the Treasury in D.C. He texted me. He said he heard on the radio Donald Trump was just shot. And I dropped everything. I was mowing my yard. I was about to trim. I dropped everything. My neighbor came over because.
Yeah, there's this thing that Joe Biden apparently had said as well in some point in the campaign that Donald Trump should be in the crosshairs or something like that. Obviously it was a flippant remark, but I think, we've got to be careful, politicians, and they've got to be careful about their language. I mean, Donald Trump did it himself, didn't he, as well? When he was finishing after his presidency ended, he sort of made some inflammatory comments, and of course that led to the storming of the White House, etc. So I think all politicians have got to be very careful about their comments, not to be inflammatory, especially in a country like America where they've got guns available. Do you know what I mean? You'd be struggling to assassinate a prime minister probably in the UK unless you had you'd have to get the crossbow or something, or be able to get close enough to them. But it's also a wonder that they have been able to get into a position to shoot Donald Trump.
He's watching it live on TV, and Trump was shot in the ear. We don't know if it wasn't a large caliber rifle. From what I'm being told now, it was a small caliber weapon, like a 22. People in Europe might not know what that is, but it's a very small caliber gun, and it's used for shooting rabbits, right? And Donald Trump was shot. He was clipped in the ear, and they moved him out as quick as possible. But the question is, how did the weapon get in the event? Now we know the shooter is dead. There's an accomplice who is now in custody. And apparently what I'm hearing, and this is not confirmed, I'm hearing that they fired it from a rooftop looking over the venue. So it's almost like a JFK moment, but with a guy who has no act.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of JFK. Oh, so they're saying that one shooter is dead and someone else is in custody. So there were two people. Do you know what else it reminds me of? Just a total random thing. But if you've ever read The Dead Zone or seen the film The Dead Zone, the Stephen King film, which is a Stephen King book that was turned into a film with Martin Sheen and Christopher Walken. It's a brilliant film. I would recommend that you watch it or read the book, because it reminds me of that. If anybody knows that book or that film, it just reminds me of that.
Accuracy. But all I'll say is this: Joe Biden promoted all of this nonsense against the MAGA movement, saying we are the literal cancer of the world, we're the enemy of the world. And now you have a president who's in a hospital, former president who's in a hospital, getting treated because he was almost killed.
We can't confirm that there is an accomplice in custody. Obviously, that's
the prosecutor just confirmed that. It's live. Prosecutor confirmed that.
Right.
There were two people.
We do know from the Butler County District Attorney that an audience member has been killed and the shooter is dead, and there is another person in a critical condition that is being reported.
Yes, and that person was arrested. Even though they're in critical condition, they still arrested him, or they call it arrested.
We have also heard from Donald Trump's campaign team. We see pictures of that bloodied ear now on screen, but we have had confirmation from Donald Trump's campaign team that he is fine. He has received medical attention. We saw the shots of him, that fist pump in the air shortly after the incident. He was able to walk from.
Yeah, I don't see why you would think it was staged, to be honest. People are dead for a start. Not everything's a conspiracy theory, But anyway, and I see some of you think it was staged. I don't agree with that, but then, everyone's got their opinion. But a couple of people killed by the sound of it, and horrible.
On the stage, albeit surrounded by Secret Service agents and driven away from the event. But by all accounts, he is fine.
Yeah, he's fine, but we shouldn't downplay this. If the bullet was a little bit more to the right of his head, they would have killed him. So, I know a 22, they would have hit him in the head and he would have been knocked out. And then we'd be talking about a much different story. We shouldn't downplay this because they just shot him in the ear. Somebody tried to kill him today. And
yeah, I agree with him. It's just, luckily, Donald Trump is okay, because I wouldn't wish, anyone to be assassinated, no matter who it is, unless, they'd have to be pretty bad for me to want that to happen. But, and anyway, it's not right to do that to somebody. People want to vote for Donald Trump. That's what democracy is. You don't fight people with guns. You don't challenge people with guns. If you don't agree with someone's political views, you challenge them in a different way. You campaign for Joe Biden or for somebody else or whatever. You don't go and do this. To me, I think he's lucky to be alive. But there's a couple of other people that are dead or seriously injured, so they weren't quite so lucky.
And I made it very clear to everyone we have a Twitter space going on right now with 17,000 people in it. I made it very clear. Joe Biden is the reason why this happened to begin with, because he looks at us like we're terrorists, when in reality, we just want to fight for our country, want closed borders. There's a reality here, and they just don't agree with it. They hate Donald Trump more than they love America. And now the messaging, I think it's going to change dramatically, because you cannot run a campaign against a candidate who is beating Joe Biden in all of the polls, even in 6 swing states. And then after all of this, then have the same messaging. It's just not going to happen. Donald Trump is going to win the 2024 election. He's going to be president again.
I think he is going to win.
Right, just looking at some of the quotes coming in. Elon Musk saying that he fully endorses tough, in quote marks, Trump. He's posted that on Twitter.
Yeah, Elon Musk, of course, the king of the world, it feels like. Elon Musk is more influential than the president. Of course, he likes Trump, he's endorsed Trump. I think the problem in America, to be honest, is there's not a brilliant choice, is there? You know, you're choosing between Joe Biden, who, you know, he's more my political sort of leanings, if you like, left. But look, you know, I do think Joe Biden, all the war thing, and, you know, Donald Trump, what he has, you know, we have to think about it reasonably. One positive thing about Donald Trump, he's not interested in wars. He's only interested in America. You know, you can not agree with him on many things, but there were no wars while Donald Trump was president. And then as soon as along comes Joe Biden, and then next minute there's the Ukraine war, etc. And you know, it's just something. I don't think Joe Biden is a pacifist. But anyway, that's how it strikes me. But I don't know enough about American politics. Obviously, I don't live in America. People will challenge that, I'm sure. And I'm happy for people to challenge it and tell me that I'm wrong. But the other problem, of course, with Joe Biden at the moment is these, you know, he is a very elderly man. And he's got, if he gets in as president again, you're looking at another 5 years, it'd be like 86 or something. And I just think, is that all America has got to choose from? It's not that, you know, wisdom comes with age. I know that he's got a lot of experience. I appreciate all that. But, you know, the gaffes that he's been making, calling Zelensky Putin, President Putin, referring to Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump, you know, these kind of things. I mean, I don't think he is senile, to be honest. I think what's happened is he's just forgetting names like you do when you get older. But he is the president of the United States. You know, it's different if I forget someone's name, or, you know, if the president does it, you know, I just think if I was in America and I was having to choose because you can only vote for one person, can't you? You can't say, oh, well, I'd like to vote for Trump, but I don't agree with this, that, and the other that he does. Or I wish I could vote for Biden, but I'll vote for Biden, but I don't agree with this. You know, you've got to vote for one person, and you know, vote for all the things that they stand for. And I just feel that in America at the moment, they haven't got a brilliant choice of candidates. You know, we thought, you know, people were complaining about the UK candidates, but to be honest, our candidates are brilliant compared to in America. That's my opinion. Anyway.
Obviously, the billionaire CEO Elon Musk there reaffirming his support for Donald Trump, and right. Perhaps congratulating him on his defiance that we did see as he left the stage.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Elon Musk. I mean, what do we see with big tech? For the longest time, we have emails coming out, we have leaks coming out all the time where it's like, oh, Twitter colluded with the White House under Joe Biden to censor conservatives. I mean, this is the type of stuff we're talking about. Everything that we have said, and we were conspiracy theorists, everything we've said has come to be true. And that's what I'm talking about. America is done with this crap. We're done with that. I know in the UK it's a little bit different. You guys got the GDP, you got all this crap. You guys live in a different world. You may not understand it, but we're done with censorship. We're done with all of this. We just want to live our lives freely, be able to speak our minds on the internet if we want to. If we want to create a social media platform and say, this is how we feel, we should be able to do it. And that's how everyone should live their life.
Ryan, I'm going to apologise on your behalf for the language. Just going through some more tweets coming through. Hakeem Jeffries saying, my thoughts and prayers are with former President Trump, and I'm thankful for the decisive law enforcement response. America is a democracy. Political violence of any kind is never acceptable. Echoing exactly what you've been saying.
Yeah, these people had a lot of different tone before. They're only doing this now to cover themselves. They could care less about Donald Trump. They want him dead. They don't want this guy on the main stage. So, they've been saying this for months. MAGA is enemy of the people. Look at Hakeem Jeffries' tweets. Look at Biden's speeches. He gave that dark speech they called him Dark Brandon, where he looked like Adolf Hitler, telling us that we're the problem. There's like clearly a communication issue here, but it is what it is. All we want to do is protect our own interests, protect our country, and make sure that American families are protected, to where you don't have to pay, $4.99 at a gas pump for regular gas. You don't have to overexpend your balance at the grocery store. These are common sense things, but whenever you talk about this or any association with
now, Robert, one of the Kennedys, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's tweeted, because of course loads of his family have been assassinated. The Kennedy family, good God, well, say loads, two anyway, that have been assassinated. There's been other assassination attempts, and apparently he was denied because he's an independent candidate for the president of the United States. So he is standing for presidency as well. But he was denied security. So he has no security. Anyway, he's tweeted and said, now is the time for every American who loves our country to step back from the division, renounce all violence, and unite in prayer for President Trump and his family. Yeah, because that is important to remember as well. He has got children, President. He's got Donald Trump. He's got a family. They'll all be worried about their dad, and he is a person. As much as he might be a divisive person, and I know lots of people can't stand him, and then just about the same number of people think he's God's gift, he's the best thing that ever happened to America. That's how divisive he is. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground with Donald Trump. It's like Marmite, isn't it? You either love him or hate him. But regardless of anything, it's like Nigel Farage. I can't bear Nigel Farage, our British sort of right-wing guy. But I wouldn't want him to be shot. It's like, that's not the answer. When you get these people, if you don't agree with them, then you've got to address the issues that are making them popular. There's no good saying, oh no, you can't talk about things. Things can't be taboo subjects. If he's touching a nerve with immigration, then it has to be addressed. Why are people feeling like that? You can't just ignore it as if it's not happening. So that would be my thing. That's how far right sort of rise up, isn't it? They rise up through division and through these people don't come together and talk and debate. They rise up through division. That's how you end up with extremes, right or left. Whether it's right extreme or left extreme. And in Britain, we don't like extremes really. In Britain, we've just voted in Keir Starmer with a landslide, and he is a centrist, isn't he, really? He is obviously part of the Labour Party, but he's a centrist. and he'll appeal to sort of everyone. Extreme left wing or extreme right wing has never really worked in the UK. I don't know about in America really, but probably not. I suppose Donald Trump maybe was the most right wing, or was he? I don't know. Don't know enough about. Got to admit, I don't know enough about American politics, maybe, but I'd be interested to hear what anyone's got to say.
Reality behind this, and all of the rhetoric that they've put out there led to this today. We could have lost the guy. He could have died today. And that's the message here. I'm sorry. I mean, you don't have to invite me back, but these fuckers.
We're going to leave Ryan there. I was just going to say that it's unfair for him to suggest that Democrats were calling for the death of Donald Trump. We actually have.
They're panicking there because he keeps swearing, that guy. So he's not doing Donald Trump supporters any favors, calling the Biden supporters fuckers and saying that they're calling for the death. So that guy just talking from the Students' Union or whatever, or Students for Trump or whatever it was, he's not giving Trump a good, people will watch that and think, yeah, that's just typical sort of Trump supporter, and it's not, because a lot of people who support Trump are not necessarily like that. But he was very aggressive, wasn't he? And he's just been moaning that Donald Trump's been shot, and then every other word was fuckers. And he was saying, is it going to create a spate of violence? I mean, I hope not.
Have a tweet in from Nancy Pelosi to that point, who says, there's one whose family has been the victim of political violence. I know firsthand that political violence of any kind has no place in our society. I thank God that former President Trump is safe. As we learn more details about this horrifying incident, let us pray that all those in attendance at the former president's rally today are unharmed. Let's hear now from an eyewitness at the event who was in the third row.
3 rows back from the stage, I mean the podium, and shots came from my left, 50 feet from my left. I'd say 6 or 8 shots. It sounded like firecrackers. It wasn't a heavy weapon. It was a small arms fire, and we all hit the ground. People on the podium, on the bleachers, scattered. Sadly, I'm hearing there were 2 civilians that were hit, and I'm hearing that it was not well. So I don't know of their condition, but from what I understand, it's not good. President Trump exited the stage, blood coming from his right ear as he was pumping his fist in the air. So the former president's fine.
And from what we've been told as well, former President Trump is fine. To your reaction to that news overall?
He is fine. He's President Trump. This is what he does. Like we all saw it, and I'm in belief that he's fine.
And overall, the fact that this has even happened at all, I mean, it's only, hate to say it's historic. But
it's terrible. This is human nature. This is what we do. I don't want to go political on this, but I believe, in my opinion, much of it comes from the left. But that hatred that has developed and taken over this campaign. So it's what it is. It's a shame.
And the fact that basically it just happened all of a sudden, everyone hit the ground. Kind of what was going through your mind in that moment?
Panic. Yes, we hit the dirt, and I saw the Pennsylvania State Police with the suspect, and they guided him out appropriately. Again, 60 feet from my left, maybe 50 feet, and women were crying around me, screaming. It was chaotic.
And something like this happened at what's supposed to be a peaceful event.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely not peaceful.
Your thoughts about it?
I'm going to say President Trump was probably,
and I'm pretty sure it's hate you're trying to get out. I feel free to feel it.
Maybe 2 minutes into his speech, 3, and the shots arose then. Again, we had to come through in the mag site, a magnetic detector. It was fully secured by Secret Service, one per entrance. And they did a good shakedown. They shook us all down, and take it for what you want, but I'm hearing is the weapon was planted, because that's the only way they would have gotten in here through the mag site.
And overall, did you happen to mention that state police had a suspect? Did you have?
Oh, yes.
That's interesting, the weapon being planted. This seems more and more like that Stephen King novel all the time, because he in the Stephen King novel, when he went to kill the president, he hid in the place where the president, well, he wasn't the president yet. Again, he was making a speech. I won't tell you the whole sort of story, but I would definitely recommend that book, The Dead Zone, or the film, Christopher Walken, Martin Sheen. And that the shooter there, he went into the place where the guy was going to talk and hid there, because of course they all have to get searched. You know, even in these rallies and everything, nobody would get into that rally without having been searched. So it may well be that the gun was planted there, like put there the day before or something. Though then other people are saying he was up on a rooftop. So, you know, well, it's not a clear picture yet, is it?
Get a good look at him.
I couldn't, because he or she was swarmed by individuals, by the state police.
You guys have anything else?
Can we have the spelling of your first and last name, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Conrad, C-O-N-R-A-D, Conti, C-O-N-T as in Tango, I.
Tell us how you're feeling right now.
I feel okay.
In the moment what happened, what went through your head?
Again, panic. Everybody was shaking. It's a shame. It truly is a shame. Fortunately, the president's fine, though.
Okay, well, that eyewitness there who was in the third row talked about the chaos that ensued after those multiple gunshots rang out. He spoke about the hatred that has developed and taken over the political landscape and how sad that is. And he said that Donald Trump was maybe 2 minutes into his speech. We just want to bring you the moment again when those shots rang out.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Move to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare. Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready. We ready? Are we good? Shooter's down. Are we good to move? We're clear. Let's move. We're clear. Let me get my shoe. I got you, sir. I got you. Let me get my shoe.
Okay, we're taking you to NBC now. We're covering this live story.
It was rather chaotic at that point because half the people were looking because they thought it was fireworks. I knew it was gunshots right away. My friend, he hit the deck. I was kind of looking around just trying to see where the shots were coming from. It seemed to me like the shots were coming from behind the bleachers. It seemed to me the man got hit in the head from behind. He was killed instantly as far as I could tell. And at that point, a state police and a SWAT team, started evacuating the bleachers, and then I helped carry the man out of the bleachers to a tent that was behind the bleachers.
You helped carry the man yourself. What was his condition when you were carrying him?
He's deceased. He died.
How close were you to him?
A couple yards. It wasn't very far.
Oh.
Did you know the man?
No, that's a police ranger. They put a towel over his head and then carried him off.
And you said there was another woman nearby who was also injured. Where was she in relation to him?
I believe she was in the bleachers, like either behind, above.
So there's a guy that was just there in the bleachers there was killed. You know, I know a lot of you on there, you believe in conspiracy theories, but I believe in some, but you know what? Not everything's a conspiracy thing. It can't be everything is a conspiracy, you know, it just can't be. So I don't believe this is staged. I don't believe at all that it's staged. I think, you know, these things happen. You can't think that every single event in history is staged or a conspiracy theory. You know, people get carried away with conspiracy theories, I think. You know, there will be some, obviously, but, you know, how do you tell the difference? And here somebody, you know, people, I think you need to ask their families whether they thought it was a conspiracy theory or not.
Of me or just to the side of him. But it seemed like she was kind of at my flank, and then she flinched, and it looked like she had taken a gunshot wound to the forearm and hand.
Joseph, from where I was standing, we heard multiple gunshots, 8 to 11 shots. We've been hearing it replayed on the video here. Do you remember, can you tell, I know it was a chaotic scene, but at what point, was it immediately when you heard the gunshots that he was shot, or was it later on into the firing?
The first 7, he was hit and she was hit within the first 7 shots. I counted 7 shots.
What was going through your mind? You were right there. I know it happened so quickly, but what can you tell us about those moments?
First, I was in shock because I know what gunshots sound like, so I knew they were gunshots. I couldn't tell from where they were coming from. And when I noticed someone got hit, then I noticed, well, it seemed like they were coming from behind me, and it just was pandemonium. And then I heard some more shots, and I couldn't quite tell where they were coming from. But I counted the first 7, and they were very loud, very close. And it killed one man and wounded another woman.
And Joseph, you told me that you're a doctor, you're an OBGYN. How did that background play into how quickly you were sort of able to assess the situation and know what happened to these individuals and know what was going on?
Well, I told the police, I tried to render assistance. I told the police I could render assistance. They had another physician on the EMT team, so they kind of took over. So they didn't really need me, so I kind of helped carry them down initially out of the bleachers. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't the man that got hit. There was no assistance that needed to be given, and unfortunately, his family witnessed the whole thing. It seemed like he had several family members in the bleacher with him.
So his family were there. The man who's died, his family were there. It was just awful, poor family, poor guy, poor family. Yeah, strange thing is that Joe Biden hasn't made any statement yet. That was quite funny, Julie. He's probably having his afternoon now. They're revving him up, you know, like they're plugging him in and kick-starting him. But the thing, I mean, joking apart, of course, he'll be waiting for, because he won't want to say the wrong thing. You know, he said the wrong thing so much lately. So he'll be waiting for all the information, and he'll be when he does give a statement, it may, you know, he'll want it to be just right. Do you know what I mean? And there's probably quite a lot of politicians out there, world leaders, Keir Starmer as well, and all the leaders of every country preparing their statements or waiting for further information before they give a statement. Because in something of this, it's a very difficult statement for Joe Biden to make, because obviously everybody knows that Joe Biden can't stand Donald Trump. But he doesn't want that to come over. And he has said some very inflammatory things. Both sides have. It could be Joe Biden who was shot, and you could say that Donald Trump had been inflammatory to, you know, for that. All this inflammatory talk by politicians is not good. It's just not good. Politicians should talk about the things that people have got in common, not different. I mean, I know they're in a presidential race, so they've got to be a little bit controversial with each other, but you know, it doesn't have to be all shouty and animosity and stuff like that. It should be, it could be better.
With him, and they were quite upset. They didn't know. They were in shock. They didn't quite know what's going on, but the man was definitely killed instantaneously.
Could you tell us sort of how many family members or people who knew him were with him, and what was their reaction?
I thought there was 5 people. 2 of them were relatively hysterical. So, but they were when we took the man out of the bleachers, he went to the tent. There was an aid tent or some type of tent behind the bleachers where they took the body, and they immediately evacuated the family with them. And 2 out of the 5, it seemed like, in shock, hysterical. Like they were still trying to process what was going on.
Joseph, from where I was standing, we heard the shots. We saw the president go down.
Yeah, I saw President Trump get hit.
What can you tell us? What details you remember?
It seemed like his head was off to the side, and it seemed like he got nicked in the ear.
Was that before the Secret Service took him down to the ground, covered him?
Right before the Secret Service. I mean, it was maybe, again, it's hard to tell, time dilates when, it seemed like it was a second or two.
Yeah, he just looked as if a bee stung him or something, wasn't it? 1 minute he was talking, and then the next minute he sort of clutched his ear. It was like, oh God, what's that? As if a bee. I bet he wondered what the hell was going on. But of course, you could hear the popping sounds. The pop, pop, pop. It's a very strange sound, that, isn't it? That guns make. They don't sound like you'd expect them to. Quite often, when you hear people talk about shootings, they describe it as a popping sound. So yeah, and he just clutched his ear, and he's lucky to be alive. And just listen to what that guy was saying. Just imagine being just standing there 1 minute listening to someone, and then the next minute, your dad is dead because he's a guy, isn't it, who died, and his whole family were there. Were his children there? I mean, just awful.
Like that first 7 shots that went off, the man got hit. He was killed almost instantly. The woman in the bleachers, she got injured, like she got hit in the forearm and the hand. And then in those rounds that were fired, again, I was videoing the event, so that's when I saw Trump get hit. And it seemed to me like he was looking to the side and the round grazed his ear. So.
Could you tell the gentleman that was hit in the head what angle he was in relation to the former president, like which direction the bullets were coming from and to?
So it looked like he was facing the president at the very far left portion of the bleachers. So he's directly facing it. Again, it seemed to me like the shots were coming from the rear, like behind us. And for me, it seemed like the man was in the way. I guess.
In the way of the former president?
No, it seemed like the man was in the way of the shots between whoever was shooting the gun and the president. The man was hit. It seemed like he was in the crossfire.
And I know, you're in shock and still processing all of this. It's sort of hard to evaluate our own emotions in this moment, but you just experienced something horrific.
Yes.
What can you tell us about your state of mind right now?
Yeah, I've had opportunities to go to these rallies before. It's the first one I ever went to. Had time off to go do it. I was kind of excited to go, but it's everyone. It's something you don't expect. It comes out of the blue. It's like a bolt out of the blue, and it's shocking. The way politics goes in this country, it just seems like it's really polarized. Everyone's just very angry. I'm honestly shocked this didn't happen earlier. I was commenting to my friend who went to the event with me. I was like, the back behind the bleachers, it's really open. It seems like a really open venue. And it just, I got this sense that, if someone really wanted to do something, again, I was openly talking to her. I was like, if something was bad was going to be happening, this is the perfect venue to have. I just said this like an hour before it happened. I was like, this would be the perfect place to do it. And, surprisingly enough, it happened.
So apparently Barack Obama, of course, previous president, a Democrat, he's come out and said political violence has no place in our society or in our country. And it doesn't. So I think everyone will come together to support Donald Trump in this, because whatever people think of Donald Trump, it's just not on, is it? You can't just go around shooting people. There'll be the usual debate about gun laws in America, but that's never going to change, is it? And Donald Trump he's pro-guns anyway, so that's not going to happen. There'll be the usual debate. Then meanwhile, some people are dead, families are going to be grieving, and Donald Trump is probably going to win the presidency because he'll turn it to his advantage. Of course he will. Any politician would.
A devastatingly prescient observation from you. Let me ask you one more question, because from where I was, there was confusion. Then Trump stood up, and there were some cheers, and then people sort of remained. Those that weren't in sort of the immediate zone where you were, people were still sort of cheering, talking, trying to figure out what was going on. How quickly did you know that whether or not there was still a dangerous situation? It seemed like people sort of started to try to move on very quickly, not sure what had happened, right? So how soon did you know whether or not it was even safe? Did you want to get out of there? What did you witness in sort of the immediate aftermath once the shots stopped?
Well, it seemed like the shots went off, everyone thought it was a prank. Everyone, I think, got a sense, like when I looked out into the crowd, everyone thought, I think the initial reaction, everyone thought it was a prank. I knew better it was a gunshot because I just saw a guy got hit. And it did.
For those of us that didn't see, it's some people started laughing, some people were confused. It wasn't immediately clear to the crowd that didn't witness what you witnessed, that this was in fact a dangerous and deadly situation.
Oh, it was a dangerous and deadly situation. The problem is it's a large crowd. And when the gunshots went off, I think they were, again, my sense was they were being shot from behind, so they sounded a bit muffled. So it sounded more like a firecracker going off. So I think the initial reaction from the people around me were like, okay, well, someone brought fireworks. I just knew better. I know what gunshots sound like. And, when I saw the guy took a gunshot wound to the head, and I saw the woman who got hit in the forearm and the hand, I just knew that it wasn't fireworks. I mean, it wasn't fireworks initially, but I think the majority of the crowd didn't understand that it was gunfire. And, I think people took it really seriously when the SWAT team started jumping over the rails. So I don't know what to tell you outside of that.
Joseph, I know this. I can't imagine what it takes to describe what you just witnessed in these moments, right in the aftermath. So we thank you so much for sharing.
I'm happy to.
Lester.
Hearing there from that eyewitness, Joseph, who was in the third row, we believe, at the front of that rally in Butler in Pennsylvania. He said that he helped carry a deceased man from the scene. He also witnessed a woman who was shot either in the arm or the hand. He said that the man and the woman next to him were shot within the first 7 shots that rang out. He's a doctor, that eyewitness that we just heard from, and he offered assistance. He said that there were 5 people with the man who was killed, family members who were then hysterical following on from the shooting. He said immediately he knew that the man was deceased. He said he saw the president, the former president, Donald Trump, get hit. He seemed like he was, his ear was grazed. We've seen those shots of his bloodied ear. Those are just on your screen. The man that was hit, that was deceased, that he helped carry from the scene. He says that it seemed that he was facing the president, and it seemed that he was in the way. So in the crossfire, that man was hit as that bullet was aimed in Donald Trump's direction.
Moving to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Moving to spare. Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready. You ready?
Gosh, I just think it's terrifying. I've been looking around for some, message from Joe Biden. Still nothing. I'm going to stay on. I think. I'm going to stay on a little bit longer. I'm waiting to see what Joe Biden has to say. But if it takes too long, I might have to go off and come back tomorrow when we've got more clearer picture of what happened.
You see there those fist pumps from Donald Trump there as he's surrounded by Secret Service agents who were escorting him there to his car, after which he was driven away, and then the crowd was dispersed. We heard there a bit of the sound from the stage with the president saying, "Let me get my shoes." The Secret Service agents there saying, "Shooters down."
Wonder why his shoes were off. Maybe he takes his shoes off when he gets.
We do have a statement in now from President Joe Biden. He says, "I have been briefed on the shooting
Here it comes.
at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally as we await further information."
Okay, so he's made a statement finally.
He goes on, "Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it." There's also been a tweet from erstwhile President Barack Obama, who also says there is absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy. Although we don't yet know exactly what happened, we should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt, and use this moment to recommit ourselves to civility and respect in our politics. Michelle and I are wishing him a quick recovery. Well, let's speak now to...
No, I always liked Barack Obama, but he's talking about respect in politics. But I went quite off him because while he was running to be president, he referred to the Republican candidate that was a woman, referred to her as a pig in lipstick. You know, so he wasn't that respectful either. So the thing is, politicians have to be very mindful. You see, I still remember that comment that he made. It put me off him. You know, obviously I don't vote in the American election, so I suppose it didn't make any difference to him. But I've never thought about him in the same way since he made that comment. And so politicians, they've got to be very mindful of what they say, even throwaway remarks. You know, you've just got to be careful what you say, because it's getting heard by all your supporters, all the people that are against you. You know, it gives every comment you make is, you know, people won't even remember whether you're a president or running to be a president or what have you. Everything you say is remembered by people, you know, and just one little comment can, you know, haunt you forever. So as I say, I will never feel the same about President Obama since he referred to that woman as a pig in lipstick. You know, just what sort of a thing is that to say about a woman, and especially if you're running to be the president of the United States with such a horrible comment, even if she isn't a nice person or whatever, you're just not supposed to say things like that. So you know, they've all got to be very mindful of what they say.
To Martha Kellner, our US correspondent, who is standing by. Martha, since we last spoke, we have had that update of 2 people, including the shooter, that have lost their lives, and a third person who's in a critical condition tonight.
Yeah, there'll be serious questions asked, I imagine, Gillian, about the security around this event. By their very nature, these campaign events are clearly high profile. They are potentially susceptible to this kind of thing happening there. The Secret Service will be leading this investigation into what happened at this rally in Butler County, Pennsylvania, which has left 2 people very sadly dead and the former president injured as well. So the Secret Service will lead the response, but federal law enforcement agencies, including the Justice Department and the FBI, will also be involved in the investigation. We still have so many unanswered questions about what unfolded this evening, Pennsylvania time, and how this was allowed to happen. We don't know whether those gunshots were fired from within the perimeter of this rally or whether they came from outside the perimeter, as some are suggesting. That will clearly all come out in the wash in these investigations. We will get a fuller picture of what happened and what, if any, the security lapses were. But one thing we can see very clearly in the aftermath of those gunshots ringing out is just how quickly those Secret Service agents reacted to what was going on. They immediately surrounded the former president, who had already ducked below his lectern. They then eventually, presumably once the very immediate scene had been, the perimeter had been secured, they bring the former president to his feet and surround him in almost a hug formation so that he can't be, or his body is not visible. He clearly then raises his fist to the crowd. Those behind him on the bleachers respond. You can see many of them also raising their fists to the sky as Donald Trump appears to mouth, "Fight, fight, fight." So interesting to hear what Donald Trump says in the aftermath of this event. He is clearly still being treated in a medical facility.
Right, I found the pig in lipstick comment, so we're going to have a look at that. And I really do like Barack Obama, but anyway, this is what he said. Oh, hang on.
Tax policy. McCain says he's about change too. Except, and so I guess his whole angle is, watch out, George Bush. Except for economic policy, healthcare policy, tax policy, education policy, foreign policy, and Karl Rove style politics, we're really going to shake things up in Washington. That's not change. That's just calling the same thing something different. But you know, you can't, you know, you can put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. You know, you can
well, that was bad. Bad. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. So Barack Obama, they're talking about respect in politics, but he wasn't very respectful himself. So I'll never forget that. He's fragile. I can't think about him the same. Since I heard that, I thought it was just a totally unnecessary comment. You know, because she's a woman as well. So horrible. Let's go back to
nearby to Butler County, Pennsylvania. His communications team have gone into lockdown this evening. They've told staff from within the Trump campaign not to talk to media. So you imagine there will be some form of coordinated response from them to what has happened this evening. But obviously, we've already heard from many politicians on both sides of the political aisle. This is clearly a deeply, horribly politically divided country, but this seems to be uniting politicians, both Democrats and Republicans. We've had that statement from President Biden this evening, also statements from former President Barack Obama as well. So I think really this evening across this country, there's a sense of shock that this has happened. But perhaps also, as we were hearing from that interviewee, that rally attendee earlier, perhaps also a sense of inevitability too, that something like this was always going to happen at some point to someone.
Martha, we're just hearing from a Downing Street spokesperson saying that we are shocked by the scenes at President Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. We condemn all forms of political violence in the strongest terms, and we send our best wishes to President Trump and his family at this time. And Reuters are just reporting that President Biden is shortly due to deliver remarks from the White House, we believe, or certainly the statements coming from the White House. So shortly to hear from President Biden.
Yeah, and I think there'll be a real close focus on just what President Biden says and how he delivers that public address. This has already been a fortnight of incredibly high pressure, high stakes events, high stakes addresses for President Biden. A lot of focus on his age, on his vitality, on his ability to do this job. He was actually supposed to be having a quiet.
So Biden is going to speak soon. He was on holiday, was it? Well, you know, weekend away. It is supposed to. She's going to tell you in a minute. He was supposed to be having a quiet time with the family. So we'll stay on until we hear what his statement is going to speak. Let's see if he gets everybody's name right, or is he going to refer to Trump as Kamala Harris or Putin? You know, it's always interesting when you watch Joe Biden speak. You're never quite sure what he's going to come out with.
Day to day, he was at his beach house in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, a few hours drive from Washington, D.C. So I'll be interested to see whether he remains there or comes back to the White House to deliver that statement. But what a huge moment for him. I'm also just hearing via our colleagues at NBC News, a campaign official for President Biden saying the Biden campaign is pausing all outbound communications and working to pull down our television advertisements as quickly as possible. So I think what we will probably hear from President Biden is a loud condemnation of what has happened today to President Trump and those rally attendees, and perhaps also a plea that an event like this, so shocking, so sad, should be used to bring this deeply fractured nation together. I imagine that will be the tenor of President Biden's speech, particularly with that news that the Biden campaign are pulling all of their obviously partisan TV advertisements from the airwaves this evening. So a huge moment for President Biden, even if what had happened over the past 2 weeks hadn't happened, even if there wasn't such a laser focus on his public addresses. This clearly in the wake of what seems to be an assassination attempt on his political rival, a huge, huge moment for him as the sitting president. Yes. Yeah, so we're here just looking once again at that moment. Donald Trump had just begun his address to rally attendees in Butler County, Pennsylvania. He was, at the moment those gunshots rang out, he was referring to a chart in the background which was showing border crossing figures, immigration, a huge political rallying cry for the Donald Trump campaign. It was at that point that these several loud pops rang out. Rally attendees were hearing, didn't know whether they might be fireworks, weren't sure what they would be. And then you can see Donald Trump falling to his knees below that lectern and then emerging surrounded by his Secret Service detail, but clearly with a bloodied ear as he's led away into this armoured vehicle. As we've been saying, Secret Service accompany Donald Trump wherever he goes, as they do all former presidents. They are in charge with securing the perimeter around these events, for securing the area itself, but also what happens.
Look at these people, they're just shouting, fuck you, aren't they? So angry. Look, this just is going to be awful. I don't know what those people, oh my God, all the army coming running in.
Martha, for the moment, thank you.
God.
Stone, US correspondent. We were just hearing there, Mark, from Martha, that the Biden campaign are pausing all of their outbound communications and working to pull down their television adverts as quickly as possible. And we are awaiting a address from President Biden, or certainly a statement from President Biden. The White House, tell us.
Yes, President Biden is due now to deliver what are being described as remarks to the nation after what is an apparent assassination attempt on President Trump. President Biden is not in Washington today. He is at Rehoboth in Delaware, where he has a home. He was at Mass at the time when this incident happened. As he came out of Mass, reporters asked him whether he had been briefed. At that point, he had not. But clearly, President Biden has since been briefed and is now due to deliver remarks to the nation at some point, I would expect, this evening. And as you say, a Biden campaign official has told our colleagues at NBC that the Biden campaign is pausing all outbound communications and working to pull down television ads as quickly as possible. Of course, remember, I mean, the election, it may be 4 months away, but US election campaigns are very long indeed. And we are right in the midst of this US election campaign, which is why former President Trump was in Butler, Pennsylvania, a small town just to the west of Pittsburgh in the far.
So that's interesting. So the Biden, they're taking down all their adverts and everything because, so I suppose that's because Trump's campaign has had to stop while he recovers from this. And they're taking off all their adverts and everything, the Democrats as well. So I hope he's going to speak soon because I can't stay on much longer. I need to go back to bed. Oh, because I've got updates for you about Jay Slater as well. But in fact, I was thinking of getting up to do them. But I won't be doing them tonight. I'll be doing them tomorrow. I'll definitely be on tomorrow to do quite a long live sometime in the daytime. Obviously in the evening I will be watching the football, but I'm going to make sure, obviously I'll be doing a live to update on this and the updates that I've got on Jay Slater.
Just to the east of Pittsburgh in the far west of one of America's largest states. It is a swing state. That is why both candidates have spent so much time over the course of the past few weeks and months in Pennsylvania, and they will continue to be there. And this was one of many very standard rallies that Donald Trump is used to giving. He gives them all the time. This is his bread and butter. This is what he likes doing. This was a relatively small rally compared to some of them. I've been to many Trump rallies. Some are absolutely vast. But Martha's right. They tend to have airport-style security going in. The suggestions from the U.S. media, and I'm not sure the extent to which you've been reporting this yet, but there are suggestions in the U.S. media that the gunman was outside the rally itself, that he was not within the rally. And you can see from that wide shot that we've got there, it's not a particularly big rally. Often when the camera is tight on the principal speaker, you can't really tell whether these are massive stadium-sized rallies or smaller ones. This one in Butler was smaller. And the reporting within the US media is that the gunman was outside the perimeter of the rally itself. It also appears to have been a textbook operation by the Secret Service. As a former president, Donald Trump has a Secret Service detail with him 24 hours a day, and you can see them there surrounding him as he puts his fist in the air in a clear show of defiance. And evidence too that he was not too badly injured, but you can see the blood on his right ear as he is taken down off the stage and into an awaiting armored vehicle and away. We're not sure now where President Biden is, where President Trump is, but we are told by his campaign that he is doing well. I can give you a couple of other updates as well. Some more statements coming in. Nancy Pelosi, of course, one of the most senior politicians in the country, the former Speaker of the House, a Democrat, and not a fan of Donald Trump, but today she is, all her condolences and thoughts are with him, she says.
Okay, Mark, let's just take the viewers to President Biden now.
Based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And so, and I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people who, and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much. And I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay. I don't know enough I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried, President, with the security failing, Mr. President?
Okay, well, President Biden there saying he wants to make sure he has all the facts before he gives a fuller statement. He said that he plans to talk.
Yeah, don't blame him. You need all the facts, don't you? Because he's got to be very careful what he says now. So, and anyway, he sounded quite sort of lucid there, didn't he? And fine. I just imagine if you had a few drinks. I mean, God, you've got to have a day off, even if you're the president of the United States. Imagine if you'd, been at a family barbecue or whatever, you'd had a bottle of wine and then you've got to come out and give a statement. It's not, it's these are things that happen. I mean, you can't be on 100, can't be on 24-hour, never have maybe never has a glass of wine, or maybe never has you know what I'm saying? It just that'd just be typical, wouldn't it? That maybe you don't normally have a glass of wine, or you don't normally, relax and sort of let things go. But it could have been your birthday, or it could have been anything, and that'd be just my luck if I was president of the United States. That the one day I decided to cut loose a little bit, something really important happened, and I had to go out and make a statement. And pretend I hadn't really drank a bottle of whiskey or whatever I'd had, 10 cocktails, or, because we all cut loose sometimes in some way. We've all got our little peccadillos, haven't we? So, anyway, so Joe sounded perfectly okay there. He didn't get anyone's name right, and he actually sounded really lucid. And I think the times he has sounded bad and got people's names wrong, it's probably when he is tired. I mean, it is an exhausting job, of course. It might not be 24-hour, but it's not far off 24-hour job. When he goes and does these conferences like at NATO and stuff, there's a lot of traveling. You've got your jet lag. You've got, there's a lot of things, and maybe that's why he called Zelensky Putin. And referred to Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump, but it's he's not standing down. He says he's not standing down as a candidate, but this is going to throw a real spanner in the works, isn't it? I can't see that Donald Trump won't win, to be honest. I cannot see. Oh, come on. You think there's all different Joe Bidens? Oh, I don't agree with that. I know a lot of people think that about a lot of like the royal family, it's different. I don't agree with that. I just don't. So, but I know a lot of people think it. Thing is, how will we ever know? We will never know. We will never know. We'll just talk about it. So look, MPod, stop being so, you shouldn't inflict that. If I really feel for you, MPod. I honestly do, empathetically, but it's not right to come on chat and say things like that, because that is not, there's nothing that any of us can do about that. So you should not, you just should not do that. I'm sorry, but you really shouldn't. I hope you're okay. You need to go and get help, obviously, but I can't have that on my chat. I'm sorry, because that's not fair to the other people on the chat, who also, you don't know who you're triggering in their own sort of battles or whatever. So please don't come on chat to say that. We all support you, but to saying things like that, I just can't have that on the chat, because it's too triggering for other people. So I'm sorry, but it just can't. It's not the place. It's not the place. Yeah, he could do with retiring, Joe Biden, but he's not going to. They don't retire in America, do they? He's not the only one who's really old, like the speaker, Nancy Pelosi. She's still the speaker. Even she said he should retire, and she's really old herself. It's like that, or at least our politicians are a bit younger. They're sort of 50s, 60s, not 80s, 70s, 80s. Experience is important. So, Joe Biden, he's got a lot of experience, hasn't he? And you can't sort of take that away from him. He's got a lot of experience in government, decades of experience. But he's not going anywhere. He says he's not going. So, the way their system is there in America, really, it's him, or, he's got to step down. Really can't really be removed like you can be in the British government, as we've seen with how many prime ministers have we had in the last couple of years. Can't do that in America. If Joe doesn't want to go, he doesn't have to go. So I know. Well, so on that note, I'm going to go. I'm sorry, I've got to leave you. I've got to go back to bed. I think I might get things ready for tomorrow morning. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to do all the things that I normally have to do in the morning. I can do them tonight if I can be bothered. But anyway, thanks for sharing this moment with me. I felt when I saw this news, I just felt I had to come on and talk about it, because it is seismic. And, just watching, when I watched the video, oh my God, it just made me go cold, really. So it's been good to talk it out, because I found it really upsetting. And somebody out there, somebody's family out there in America has just watched their loved one being shot right in front of them and killed. So, my prayers go out to them. That just must have been awful. And even the shooter, who's been killed, they'll have a family, I expect, even though they were misguided in what they were doing. But pray for their family as well, etc. Because, you just don't want these things to happen to you, do you? And they should not happen. You should be able to go to a political rally without worrying that someone's going to shoot you or the person who's speaking. That's what a democracy is all about, free speech, isn't it? You don't agree with someone, you don't agree with them, but you can't make somebody think like you. That's what we do on this channel. It's like, we all have our opinions. We don't argue about them. We don't attack each other for them. And that's what I will never allow on my channel. Someone has an opinion, that's fine, as long as they don't attack other people for having different opinions. Because, the world would be boring if we were all the same. Hi, Wesley. Okay, so I've got to go and leave, and I know you're enjoying chatting with each other, I know, and that. But anyway, night. I'll see you tomorrow, and until I see you again in the next video, may your God go with you. And Paul, keep, you just got to put one foot in front of the other. That's all you can do, one day at a time. Take one day at a time, because there's not really anything else we can do, unfortunately. We all have good days, bad days, and my heart goes out to anyone who's struggling. But so many people are, aren't they? That's the problem. But we just take one day at a time. One day at a time. That's all you can do. Okay, night. To Wesley. I think Wesley's just catching up because I've got this, my God. Anyway, night. Thanks again, and see you very, very soon. But take care and try to stay positive. I'm going to put my little video on just to finish. So bye, and prayers for Donald Trump, of course. I forgot to say that. So I'm saying prayers for the person who's been shot, and prayers for Donald Trump and his family, because that should never happen to anyone, no matter whether you have a different view from them or not. Night.